Hi, welcome to Alter My Closet. I'm Jennifer. Hope everyone is doing well. I went shopping in my closet. And for those of you who don't know, I have been posting videos about my recent weight loss and, just my journey in shopping in my closet to find clothing that can be altered to accommodate my new dimensions, I guess. Yes, my pants have been falling off, and some of my shirts need some adjustments. So I just wanted to show you some of the things that I found, and I did on my last video, but just real quick, if you're here for the first time, I do have this dress that I showed. It was still, had the tag on there. And so this is a little bit roomy on the sides. So I'll be taking in a little bit on the sides and cutting some of the length. And on this one here, trying to find the colors that will go with the springtime. And so I found this camisole here. I'm gonna pair it with a cardigan, which is optional for some. So I have this and some matching yellow pants. They were all bought separately, but the yellows kind of blend. So this will be one of the outfits. On this one, I'll be taking in the waist and some area here in the hips. And on the blouse, I'll be taking in a little bit in the front here. On this, I'll be taking in a little bit more here where this darted is. I'll be taking it in about a 1/2 inch on that one. And a little bit on the length on this one too. The top is okay. I won't be doing, but I was doing anything on the top. But I was just showing, the matching piece to go with the pants. And then on this one here, this is a palazzo pants, so I'll be taking in some on the sides. And on the blouses, I'll be taking in, and the blouse on the top, I'll be taking in some on the sides. All right, I just wanted to point out some of the things you're going to need for your alteration. You can use a tape measure. For me, I usually just eyeball. I try it on. I try to see where it fits, and I'll hold it and put a pin or not, But, if you use a tape measure, you want to go ahead and measure, like your waist, bust line, hips, and your length. Just to get an idea of how much of an alteration you're going to have to make in order for your clothes to, be more fitted. And so, like if you're doing alteration, let's say on this dress here, which is a full length, what I recommend or what I do is I hold the tape measure at my shoulder and I'll go like halfway down, hold it here, and then let the top part drop, and then going down to the length, I'll look down to see. So my measurement right now looks like it's a 54 from the shoulders down to the ankles. So, that's where I'd get the measurements as far as, how much I'd need to cut off the dress for it to be at 54. All right, so that's just an example. And you're gonna need some pins. Some people do use sewing clips. Looks like a clothespin type thing. But either or. And another thing you'll need is tailor's chalk, so you can mark wherever you need to mark for your appropriate adjustments. And of course scissors. Okay, so let's get started. Oh, there's one other thing I wanted to mention. For some clothing, like in the event where you gain weight, you may not be able to do alterations on that. Like, for example, there's nothing there to let out. So in cases like this, you would, if it's something that you want to get, you'd have to go out and buy. So just wanted to point that out, as far as alterations. Yeah, there's some things that just, may not work when it comes on to altering. And like for this, in the event you, consider gaining weight back if you lose weight, like for me, I just never know, but I do keep in mind, just in the event I gain the weight back, I opt not to cut the excess piece that I take in. So I just leave it there, and it's not uncomfortable. So those are just some alternatives and some options, to are things to consider when you're doing alterations. All right. All right, so let's get started. So this is the dress, and I hope the lighting is good. I played around with it for a little bit. So this is the width of the dress. What you want to do is to fold the dress in half, and then just make sure it's even and lined up properly. And with this dress, it does have a lining. Okay, so you want to lay it out real nice and flat. And then I did say it's 54 in length is what I saw. So I'm using my tape measure. And I'm placing the tape measure at the shoulder, not the neck, because your length actually starts from your shoulder. So I'm starting here at the shoulder, all the way down to where I get my length. And then that's where I'm going to cut my fabric. And this is how much all right, after doing my cutting, I'm going to go ahead and hold on to my fabric. I'm not going to throw it out yet. Just never know. I usually like to keep my excess fabric. Okay, so after doing the cutting, I'm going to go ahead and restitch my hem. So I will show you that finished product. Okay, so something went wrong with my camera, and I was trying to do some correction, but I ended up deleting the footage where I did the stitch. So I'm just gonna show you here the amount that was cut off the dress was at the bottom of the dress was this amount. And so I wanted to show you when you're sewing the hem of your dress, you have the lining, and then you have the outer part of the dress. And so you're going to have raw edges on both of them, right? So I took up, this is about maybe less than a half an inch on the hem. So I wanted to show you when you're sewing your raw edge, you want to turn it 1, 2. So that's how you want to turn it when you're sewing your raw edges. Place it under the presser foot. Put the presser foot down to where your fabric is. Let's see, let's see if I turn it off. So if you can see a better view. So your fabric is under the presser foot, you know, to where you can do that straight stitch. So I'm just showing you an example here. So throughout the whole width of the dress, you want to double your raw edge so you get a neat finish. And I'll turn the light off again so you can see a better view, but I have to turn it back on in order to use the machine. So let me just give you a close-up. So you go around the full length of the dress, and when you're done, your stitch should look like that. Okay. All right, so I was able to complete that. So I did my lining first, and then the actual dress. Okay, so I will show you what that looks like when I try it on. I also took in the side of the dress. So as you can see right here, there's another video that I have where I showed how I removed this and put it back, you know, with the lining of the dress. But I'm not going to do it on this one. And what I can do with this piece here, instead of cutting it off, is just to use a needle and thread and sew this together so it stays down. And I'll do that on the pants as well. So looks like I'm gonna have a couple of videos, because if I'm gonna show this to you, you know, to where it makes sense, then I'm, you know, gonna have to have a couple of videos in order to do so. But yeah, I took in the sides, and so I have this excess piece. So I'll just show how I go about you know, sewing this with a needle and thread. I don't want to use my sewing machine to do this, because, you know, this thick part of this fabric can possibly break my needle, and I don't want that. All right. So this is one, and I don't have another outfit that's blue, so I'm gonna have to go ahead and change my thread. So on these, I am going to take up about 1 inch on each side. So you want to place your tape measure on your fabric and use your pin as a guide. And so I'm going to do that on both sides. Oh, let me go ahead and turn this inside out. All right. And I went ahead and got my thread of choice. So before you start sewing, you want to remove your pin, but, you know, kind of place your finger there so you know where your pin was. these pants, thank God, they don't have any pockets. So it's easy for me to go down the sides without having to worry about stitching in the pockets. And as I'm sewing down on the sides, I'm not doing a straight stitch coming down on the garment. I'm doing a tapered stitch. So I'm tapering off the stitch so it will, while I sew, I'm going down, kind of slanting the stitch so it will taper off into the seams that are already there. And that allows for a better fit and better look overall when you're complete with your alteration. So let's see. So as you can see, the stitch went slant down from the waist going down into the seam. Like I said, that was already there, so you can't even really tell. I'm gonna go ahead and do the other side. And you always want to make sure you're pulling through enough thread so your thread doesn't get broken when you start your next stitch. And of course here I'm trying to do a reverse stitch. And you probably really guys will find that challenging only because you're trying to hold the back and the front of the pants waist together, so it doesn't slip and get uneven. So you will probably find that happening, sometimes until you can master how to go about doing the reverse without having your fabric, move and getting uneven. So as you can see, I had an issue there. And it became a little bit uneven. I'm gonna take that back out and try again. When that happens, you want to try to remove any excess thread. That's already there, so it can be a fresh look when you start sewing again. If you're afraid that your needle will break, I would say don't do the reverse stitch. Just go ahead and do the straight stitch, and then you can go back over it with the needle and thread to put some tacks in the waist area. And a question that just came to mind is like, how do I know how much to take in on the sides? For me, eyeballing it. But, you can always use the tape measure and go in on the sides, after doing your measurements on your person. So you'd go in and mark it with a chalk just to know how much to take in on the sides as well. because sometimes you probably do need to take in more, you know. All right. So like I was saying, with your excess fabric, after taking it in, you want to make the decision to either cut it off or keep it. In my case, I'm going to go ahead and keep it. And I will show another video how I use a needle and thread and go over these areas just to stitch them down so, you know, it looks neater on the inside. But for now, this is what it's going to look like with the excess fabric. And, you know, I've worn my clothes like that before without any problems, without any discomfort, I would say. You know, but there is a way, like I said, you can go in with a needle and thread and sew these down. So that's project number 2. Yeah, because if I was to do that in this video, it would, you know, probably take a longer time. So on the top here, I'm taking in right here in the center. And you want to make sure that you just have a the fabric smooth and neat when you're doing that. And I'm taking in about a 1/2 inch on this one. And on this also, I'm doing a tapered stitch. So it's not going to be like a straight stitch coming down. It's going to be, you know, a slant stitch. So I'll show you. Hold on. Okay, so it's that slant stitch. Okay, so it comes out looking like that. And mind you, this garment has you know, some excess fabric the way it's made. So on this, I am going to go ahead and remove these so I can start fresh with doing the alterations here. And this is a seam remover, so I'm going to go ahead and use this to remove the stitch that's already there. And the seam remover is for in this case, you want to put the shorter side down and go under the thread so you can remove the stitch there. I know some of these seam removers, this one doesn't have a ball, but I've seen those with the little red dot on there. So I removed those stitch that was there, removed all the thread that was there. So like I said earlier, there may be a part 2, maybe a part 3, just depending on, you know, what I would like to share, the type of work that I'd like to show you while doing the alteration. So on the peach color pants, you know, I'll just show the finished look on that on the next video, seeing that you got the picture and the idea of what I did with the yellow pants. So I'll pretty much be doing the same thing with the peach colored pants and the palazzos. Okay, but yeah, you guys got the idea, like I said, pretty much how to go in and take in the sides and you know, of your pants or blouses. So yeah, I'll show you the finished product on the next video and show you an after look, you know, of how they're fitting, if they're fitting better or if I still need to do some adjustments to the clothing that will be shared. Well, thank you for joining me once again. I hope this video was helpful, and you will see me on the next video. Please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. I do appreciate the subscriptions. I would love to grow, just to know that I am helping others with what I'm experiencing. And even if I'm not experiencing it, once I learn it and it can be shared, I will be happy to do that. But stay tuned. Take care. Bye-bye.